All right, everyone, we are going live. It is now 8:00 in the a.m. here on the, I don't know where we are. I've been putting in every carpets in, so I don't know where we are. Of course, this is Tim, and of course, it's Dom, a.k.a. the Duke of Funk, and we are NFL Talk from across the pond and back. So, Dom, before we get this started, before we turn on the podcast, I wanted to say good morning, see how you're doing, or good afternoon to you, because I think it's 1 o'clock your time, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, just had lunch. Got a brew on. So we're all good. Sun is shining. Nose is red. So I'm either sunburnt yesterday, or I'm auditioning to be the new lead reindeer for Father Christmas on a foggy evening for later this year.
You're Rudolph. You're Rudolph. Oh my God. All right. For those that don't know and those that don't care, we are going to be doing this as a live stream every Sunday with a podcast. So we are actually going to do the behind the scenes of launching the actual podcast. And then this video will be available on our YouTube channel from NFL Talk from across the pond and back. So I think what we should do, Dom, is we got a lot going on today. I think we should jump into the podcast. So, as always, let's do the introduction. I am ready. I will do the intro. We are ready to go. Dom, are you ready?
We're all ready.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I don't know why I say we. There's only me here.
I know. I'm glad you're ready because I am not ready. But let's record this. Me. All right, record. There we go. We're recording. And 3, 2, and 1. All right, everyone. This is NFL Talk from across the pond and back.
You can't handle the truth.
I am, of course, Tim, a.k.a. Cool Hand Luke, and I'm always with, a.k.a. Dom, the Duke of Funk. Dom, how are we doing this morning?
Yeah, very well. I've had a few more hours to wake up than you have, and haven't had such a busy weekend. So I'm all good. Yes. And you're looking very, very sharp today, considering the weekend you've had.
Thank you. I'm looking very dapper today, and I want to appreciate you coming on again for a week. What is this, number 5?
Do you know what? You'd think we'd know, wouldn't you? 5, I think it's 5 from NFL and 6 if you include the original Giants base one that we kicked off with. But
we don't include that one. That one
we're 5 then. I think we're 5.
That one we're not even talking about. But of course, today we are going to do the mock NFL draft. We're not going to probably do the whole draft. We'll see how far we go. We're going to at least get to a number 11, which is the New York Giants pick. And as everyone knows football, I'm wearing my vintage Eli Manning jersey, and I'm wearing my Knicks hat. Knicks have won 9 in a row. Actually, a subscriber from my online Big Blue channel sent me a Knicks hat. So I would like to say this, though. The gentleman who sent me the Knicks hat did not send me a card to let me know who sent me the Knicks hat.
But thanks to them anyway, right?
But thanks for them anyways. So, Dom, why don't you, for those over in the UK who may not know, why don't you explain exactly the draft, how it works, and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, sure. So every year, a whole load of college players will come out of the US college game, and they will attempt to go pro in the draft. And each team, on the basis of how they performed last year, will have a pick. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl last year. They will pick at 32. They are the 32nd team to pick out of 32. The Jaguars had the worst team performance last year.
Can you just say that again?
Jaguars. I'm not quite sure why I did it in such a posh voice.
I love when you say the Jaguars.
I know. I don't even normally say it like that. I'm not quite sure where that came from.
I don't know, but I'm going to say it with the Giants. The Giants was.
Yeah, it's like the car, isn't it? I drive a Jag.
That's why.
But
I'll shut up, and that's a
well. I was going to say we've already gone on a tangent 30 seconds in, breaking new ground. This does not bode well for the rest of the show.
I've already expected that.
But yeah, so the Jaguars, they will pick number 1 because they were the worst team last year, and the idea being that essentially it's to try and bring parity to the league and try and allow the worst teams to be better, and that means that they can pick the player they most want. Whereas if you're picking at 32, 31 other players you might want to have gone first. But of course, some teams will have multiple picks in the first round. Some will have none because you can trade your picks for players in season or in the off season. And some of that has happened. So for instance, the 49ers have traded up from where they should have been picking at 12 to 3. And that as a result, they're picking higher than they would ordinarily pick. So hopefully that's clear with the slight tangent in the middle. but that is what the draft looks like and how we go about doing it. And I think, Tim, you're now going to explain the sort of game we're going to play a bit today. And I think there's going to be a lot of Giants fans hoping you're on the clock at 11.
I'm not going to be on the clock at 11. Those who are listening to the podcast, of course, I will not be on the clock at 11 because I am doing a reveal show for my pick. It's not that revealing. Hey-oh. I don't have my sound effects. And I'm waiting for Dom to say, "You're going to push the button, aren't you?" I am not doing the draft pick at 11. I am, of course, going to be doing a stream on Monday to give my Giants picks. I also run online Big Blue. But what we're going to do today is we're going to have a draft board up here. I'm trying to make it larger so everyone can see, and that's what she said. But for some reason, it is not. I love it, the fact that I can run on a tangent and talk at the same time. Oh, here we go. Hey-oh. We're getting there.
Do you know what's interesting? I wasn't going to mention the buttons this week on the grounds you don't really need much encouragement, but even without the buttons, you've managed just to do your own button sound effects whilst talking.
Oh, my God. Oh, no.
Do I make you horny?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Where did that come from, Austin Powers?
Allow myself to introduce myself.
Okay, so what we're going to do, guys, we have the, if you can see on the screen, and those that can't see on the screen, let's see on the podcast, we have pulled up the draft mock machine from the Draft Network. And what we're going to do is we're going to alternate picks. Dom is going to take the number 1 overall pick. I will then follow. We will go down the draft line. We will discuss briefly why we feel this team is making that pick, and then we will move on to the next pick. And before anyone gets extremely bored, we will try to go this, because usually what is there 10 minutes between each pick?
Yeah,
normally in the NFL is 10 minutes. I can never remember.
I think it's about 10 minutes.
It used to be 15 minutes, and that was way too long. I think this is ASMR where I'm drinking and people hear me drinking. Someone told me about that. I don't know. But we're gonna go. All right, on the clock. Welcome to the NFL Draft. I'm going to do it with my best radio voice. Okay, everyone, welcome to the 2021 NFL Draft. And on the clock is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Oh, you were so close. Jaguars.
I like it better that way, the Jaguars.
Perhaps I could take over, from, Rich Eisen or whoever the hell is presenting the NFL Draft this year, although I imagine it's multiple networks.
Multiple channels, so who knows?
Yeah, certainly can't do a worse job than Roger Goodell standing on the stage. But there we go. Anyway, so number 1. Well, I mean, this will come as no surprise to everybody. They are going to take with the first pick. They're going to take Zach Wilson. No, they're not. They're going to take Trevor Lawrence.
You had me. All right, so we are going to go drafting with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh my God, we're alienating. Oh no, we alienated the Jaguars already. So we're going to.
I think twice so far.
All right, so number 1 went from Clemson, the quarterback, also potentially Joe Namath is going to be Trevor Lawrence. Why are the Jaguars taking old Trevor Lawrence?
They've run with Gardner Minshew for the last few years. He's done a passable job. To be fair, he's not a sort of franchise quarterback. They need one. Trevor Lawrence is graded as one of the highest quarterbacks coming out of the college game in years. He's the obvious pick. Very few flaws, if any, coming out of the college game. Old coach there. He's going number 1, no question. I think later down the draft they have other needs they want to address. They pick again at 25, where they might want to tackle or safety or an edge or something like that. But number 1, they're definitely going Trevor Lawrence. No question.
No question in your mind they're going Trevor Lawrence. All right. Yeah, I have to agree. I don't see them not taking Trevor Lawrence. I mean, something would have to implode for them not to take Trevor Lawrence. It
would be the biggest shock, I think, in possibly even draft history. But if they went there, number 1 pick wasn't Trevor Lawrence, but you never know.
You never know. Now, are we doing this on players that we would pick or players that we think the team would pick?
I was going to go on players I would pick, but I was going to, if I think they're going a different way, I was going to say what I think they might do, but I'm going to go with the player we would pick based on who's left on the board.
Okay, well, I'm actually going to go. I'm going to go opposite. I'm going to do both. I'm going to say I'm going to plug in the player that I think they're going to pick, and then I'm going to say the player they should pick.
So exactly what I was planning on doing, but you put it so more succinctly than I did.
It's because I'm freaking awesome. Everybody knows that, and everyone gets to see me. There's only one person on. Like I said, I didn't think any people were going to be on because it's 8:00 in the freaking morning here. But whoever's online, hello. Hello. All right, I am going to go on the clock with the second overall pick. It's going to be the New York Jets, and I am going to say that they, of course, are going to draft Zach Wilson. Oops, I got to go over here and do this button. That's what she said. They are going to go with Zach Wilson, quarterback out of BYU. I would not take Zach Wilson. I would take Justin Fields because I think Justin Fields is a better prospect for the New York Jets, and I think he can handle the New York market a lot better. But I think that the Jets have become enamored with Zach Wilson, so I think that's why they're going to be going directly with that pick itself. So,
yeah, I think you're spot on. I mean, we always know at this time of the year, a lot of rubbish gets thrown out saying that we're going to take this player, and they don't necessarily mean it. But I think Zach Wilson seems like with the way they're going. I agree. I wouldn't take Zach Wilson at 2. I would have gone with Justin Fields if I was them. But I think they're going Zach Wilson. I think you're absolutely spot on with the selection there.
Now this is going to be the interesting pick. This is the San Francisco 49ers.
I mean, we were talking about this earlier here on the show, and I know you've spoken about it before, or certainly we have. You know, for me, you know, you were raising the prospect. Did they trade up to not take a quarterback, which I think is unlikely? My view is they're taking a quarterback.
My question is this: what if they don't take a quarterback? Am I right? Do you think anyone will apologize? Because no one's apologized yet for anything that I've said that I've gotten right.
Well, I'm British, so I'll apologize for saying that I think you called it wrong. But you know, but
I called it wrong.
I'm sorry, called it right. What? Sorry, I said that you were wrong. I should say.
I'm sorry, guys. We have technical difficulty. Dom all of a sudden has jumped out of the stream. I know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that. I think they traded up for a quarterback. I personally don't buy the Mac Jones talk. I could kind of half understand it if they want to ditch Garoppolo now, because I think he's the most immediate pro ready. We had this conversation a few weeks ago, but I think he has the lower ceiling of the 5. I'm not going Mac Jones. I don't think they should. I think that's a massive reach if they're going Jones at 3. I think Lance has the biggest upside, but I'm going to go with them taking Justin Fields, who's my number 2 quarterback on the board. I think that's who they go with at 3, because I think their other needs in the secondary, you know, are not pressing over the quarterback. And you know, I don't think they've major holes. Possibly they take a weapon, as we talked about, but I don't see it. I think they're going quarterback, and they're going to go, or I'm going to go that they take Justin Fields, but it wouldn't surprise me to take any of them on the board.
All right. Well, now we're going to jump into the number 4th pick, Atlanta Falcons. That's going to be me because I am the even. I just figured this out. Your odds, I'm evens. There we go.
Are you calling me odd, or are you referring to the numbers?
Well, you are odd, but that's just the American education system. It only took me 12 minutes and 13 seconds to figure that I'm the odd numbers. All right, with the Atlanta Falcons.
You're the even numbers, so have another go.
Hey-oh. I don't have my buttons.
And I just wanted to the wrong way, so I'm getting instant karma.
I have a button that is going to explain it all.
But that's okay. Remember, there are no stupid questions, just stupid people.
All right, so that's 100% true. All right, I am going to go with, I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to go with their pick, tight end, Kyle Pitts out of Miami, or out of Florida. I don't know where he is, but he's out of Florida. Matt Ryan, of course, is still in Atlanta. People are looking for the heir apparent to Matt Ryan. And this is a pick that I think both I would select, and I think this is who the Atlanta Falcons are going to select because of the fact that they haven't had a really great tight end since Tony Gonzalez. They're going to probably try to make the playoffs over the next 2 years. You figure Matt Ryan has maybe the 2 to 3 year window. So I think they're going to be not in a win now mode, but they've been kind of bad for the last couple of years. So I think they're going to try to make the opportunity to go out and make a splash, get the big tight end. He's supposed to be a difference maker, but we always hear there's a difference maker in tight ends. I always throw out the name Eric Ebron, who went to the Detroit Lions a couple years ago, like 5-6 years ago. Now it's on a starter 4th team, and he was going to revolutionize the tight end position, and that didn't work out too well. So I am going to say they are going to select Kyle Pitts, and I believe I would select Kyle Pitts for the Falcons as well.
Yeah, I mean, on that, that's who I had them taking as well. I think their other alternatives here are: do they draft Trey Lance potentially as their quarterback? Because I think we all agreed he needs to sit for at least a year, but they can't move on from Ryan for 2 years because of a cap. I don't think they should, because I think Matt Ryan still is a good Super Bowl winning or potential sort of playoff winning quarterback. I think he's got 2 years. He's still in the window. You need to build around him. The only other thing I think they could look to is the offensive tackle. But I think when you're essentially picking the first non-quarterback on the board and you've got a player as highly rated as Pitts there, I think you're absolutely right. That's who I would take in that scenario. I think you're absolutely spot on. The other thing is they could be the first trade down candidate, of course.
I don't see them trading down because of the fact that if they really think that Pitts is the talent of the future, I think they're going to go for them.
I think you're absolutely right. I'm just sort of running through what the other scenarios are for them. I think it was a really, really interesting one for me there for the Falcons at 4. But I think Pitts as well. I agree.
Now, this number 6 pick, the Miami Dolphins, to me is a very interesting pick because the Miami, of course.
We got the Bengals at 5 first, of course.
Oh, no, but I'm also just jumping in.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking ahead because I think the Bengals pick and the Miami pick are 2 interesting picks. Why? And I'm before you so rudely interrupted me, and I always thought the gentlemen for the UK were very proper, but that's okay. What I was going to say
is your influence on me. It's been
what I was going to say was before I got interrupted again. 5 and 6 to me are interesting because Miami traded. Yes, I know we're now on pick number 5, but Miami traded and got up to the 6th pick. So you think they have to have something in mind. Now, to me, they're probably going to think wide receiver. But if I was Miami, I would want to go offensive lineman. And the reason I'm mentioning this is my pick at 5, and I'm not going to say who I would pick, but if I was the Bengals, I would probably take the top offensive lineman on the board, which I think might muck up kind of what Miami was thinking about unless they go wide receiver. But go ahead.
I think you're absolutely right. And I did rudely interrupt you, so I will apologize as per the stereotype and indeed the chap that I am. I think you're absolutely right. So I think both the Dolphins and Bengals are looking for the same positions here. They're looking for a tackle, or they go a wide receiver weapon. I mean, if Pitts is there, I think they take them because I think he's potentially such a destructive and sort of game winning player. But I think as you said, he goes at 4. So I mean, the Bengals for me, I think they are generally speaking a conservative team. They're not a flashy team. I think with the injury Burrow got last year, where he had nearly his leg cut off, not literally for anyone that might be squeamish. I think they take the tackle, and as a result, it's the man you have, the arrow over Penei Sewell, would be my pick there. And I think you're right. I think that's ideally what Miami would be looking for here, but I don't think they'd cry if it went and they ended up going wide receiver to sort of potentially prejudge your pick. But
right, I think in Miami's thought process, because of the fact they have to protect Tua, because Tua still has the injury bug is kind of as well. I would have thought that they were hoping that their thought process may have been that the quarterback Trey Lance would have gone to Atlanta, and then Pitts would have went to the Bengals, and they could potentially take Sewell. That's kind of where I was going with that.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, and I think the other thing for the Bengals here is that they want to try and reunite Joe Burrow with his old wide receiver, but I think they try and protect him, and I think you're exactly right with the Dolphins. I think you again want to protect Tua. Tua for exactly that reason. He got injured 2 years running, wasn't he, in college? Big injuries. Yeah.
And had the big big hip injury. So I mean, you have to, if he's you dumped Fitzmagic with Ryan Fitzpatrick because he was never going to be the quarterback. He was just a quarterback he was the gap guy.
He was a bridge quarterback. Yeah. Absolutely right.
So, but you need to protect your investment. So, but I am going to say, of course, I am on the clock with the Miami Dolphins. I am going to go with Jamar Chase, the wide receiver at LSU. Not a surprise pick, but I've said this a million times before. If you need to cure offensive woes, especially on the line, the best way to do it is to have multiple skill set position players. So you get them all on the field at the time, and the defense cannot put 8 in the box. That's always been my thought process.
It's the attack is the best form of defense. It's sort of scenario, isn't it? Really,
exactly.
You've as you say, you can't bring the rush on and attack that quarterback as a defense if you've got 4 or 5 playmakers running downfield, you're going to have to try and cover them. And as you say, you can't stop everything, and therefore you don't pretend to rush. And that's another way of protecting the quarterback, as you rightly point out.
I've been saying that for weeks, and people think I'm crazy.
No, I don't think it's crazy. I think if you've got the right lineman there, I prefer the lineman option. But I think with Saul off, I think you're with the other lineman I have on my board. I wouldn't be taking any of them as high as 6, and therefore that's where I would have gone as well. So far, we're in lockstep the whole way.
Well, I think if you're looking potential wise and big play capability, I like Waddle probably better than Chase, but I think Chase is more of the pro-ready, pro-typical wide receiver.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Again, I mean, so far as we're in total lockstep. This is where I think with the Lions on the clock that we might start to deviate here, potentially. But we just had a comment come in.
Industry plug, man. You know what? You're the one person probably watching this stream at 8:00 in the morning. There is going to be an online Big Blue stream today at noon. So I'm just throwing that out there. Industry plug.
Yeah.
Jumping in. And people are listening to the podcast are like, what the hell are they talking about? But let's get over to, and we are not taking Slater at 11. I've already
no.
Giants take Slater at 11. I'm shutting down my Giants channel. But let's jump into the number 7 pick of the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, so for me at 7 here, look, the Lions they're a mess. They've taken Goff as their quarterback, changing him for Stafford. And that contract is huge. There's talk about them going quarterback here, but I think they probably just have to ride the Jared Goff train for a little while. Potentially they do, but I don't think they go there. They lost Kenny Golladay, obviously, to the Giants, who was their number 1 and legit number 1 wide receiver. But with Goff as their quarterback as well, he's not a quarterback. And look, what quarter? Well, some do, to be fair, but it's always difficult when you've got those defensive players running at you. And his stats don't bear out. And when you watch him on film, he really does struggle with the rush coming at him. So I think there's a whole load of places they could go. They could go corner. I mean, and the point I'm making here is they have that many holes that I think they could almost. They're another trade back candidate, and quite a few I think in the top 10 with the way the sort of draft is setting up this year. So I'm looking at those ones. I don't think they're going to go corner, but I think there are some good corners worthy of the number 7 pick on the board. I don't think, as we were just talking about with the Dolphins, that the offensive lineman at 7, I think is a reach, particularly Slater, who neither myself or Tim are that keen on. So therefore I go wide receiver, and it's the man you just mentioned. I'm going to take Waddle off the board at 7 for the Lions to give them someone for Jared Goff to aim at to replace Kenny Golladay.
I don't want to say anything, but when you said when you said Jared Goff, it's almost sound like something else.
I'm not gonna ask what it is.
We're not gonna get back into it's about the horn thing. So
I figured it might be. I very nearly said Darren Goff,
and then there's blank off. I'm just gonna say
yeah.
That's the way it kind of came out there. But this is a clean show, Dom.
It is a clean show. And I'm just grateful.
You're going the wrong way, man. You're going the wrong way.
I'm just grateful I didn't say Darren Goff, who was a former England cricketer, because I was like, do not say Darren Goff, do not. And the more you say, do not say it, you start to worry that's what you end up going to say. Thankfully, I managed to say Jared Goff and not anything that you were potentially thinking I might say.
Oh, my God. Well, now it's 7, not probably 5.
I was going to say, what would you do at 7? Because I think 7, it's probably
I probably would have gone corner. I probably would have went. I think they will go wide receiver, but I would have taken Patrick Surtain.
I don't think that's a bad shout in any way, shape, or form, and certainly somewhere I would have been looking at personally. As I said, I don't think they will take corner, but I think Patrick Surtain it would be a pick I would make there. But I think they will take a wide receiver, and Waddle for me is the best receiver left on the board because the linemen's a reach.
All right, so now I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers. I just want to do my John Facenda voice. But certain magic still lingers in the name. And people are in the UK are like, what the hell is he telling? I am going to say, okay, you know what? The Panthers, they have their new quarterback in Sam Darnold. They could use a tight end. They could use a corner because of the fact they still haven't replaced James Bradbury. But I'm going to muck up the whole draft. I'm going to screw it up for everyone. I'm going offensive tackle. Rashawn Slater. Giants can't pick him. I'm so sorry. But you know what? Slater's going to give them the versatility. Slater will allow them to have the ability to slide between tackle and guard. They are going to need to industry plug. They're going to need to keep Sam Darnold upright. They haven't decided what they're going to do on his 5th-year option yet. So I think it would make the most sense for them to go. And he is not – I think Slater has bust written all over him. He is not what I would say is the quintessential offensive lineman. But I think people like his versatility and scouts like that. So if I was Carolina Panthers, I would probably go corner. I like J.C. Horn, but I think they're going to go offensive lineman. I think they're going Slater.
Yeah, I mean, I don't buy the quarterback talk there. People are saying they might take a quarterback. I don't buy that. And yeah, I think I had their number one need as a tackle. I'm not a Slater guy either. But I think you're absolutely right that that's the pick they will make, and I think he's probably the number 2 tackle on most people's boards, not on mine. And yeah, I have them taking a corner. Would have been what I would have done with them as well, because I think there are 3 top quality corners on the board. You've got to worry about one of them, which is Farley's injury. But tackle is their number one need.
Number one need. I agree. Yeah. All right, so now on the clock is of course going to be the Denver Broncos. Interesting pick. They're another team with multiple needs. They could potentially go linebacker. They could. I would think they could even go quarterback. But where do you have you know what? Before we do anything, we've been going now for 26 minutes. That's what she said. We're going to do a new thing on the show. It's especially since we're going to be live streaming as well. It's going to be called the Duke of Funk Dance Party Dance Break.
Okay, two very white middle-aged men dancing badly. That's not what anyone wants to see.
We're going to end that quickly. So who are you going with?
I don't think that should be a regular feature.
I liked it. All right, but go ahead. Who are we going with number 9?
This was a real tricky one. Honestly, you're exactly right. You introed it perfectly. Do they go quarterback? Do they go O-line? You know, I mean, I think even middle linebacker with the defensive scheme they're looking to run there, you know, it is an option. And there is, of course, he who we cannot name for those of you that follow Tim's channel. There is a linebacker called Parsons who Tim will not mention by name at all. I think he's there, but I think they're going either Parsons or they're going quarterback. I have got them, and it's. If you ask me again in 5 minutes, I'll change my mind. That's how close it was. But I have them going Trey Lance at number 9. But I'm not. I really, really found this a really difficult sort of pick for them to make. But I did go the quarterback, and I did go Trey Lance.
Trey Lance. We're going to put Trey Lance off the board. Lance.
As I say, I've changed that pick about 5 times, including twice during the stream. That's the one I've really, really struggled with. On
Lance the Dance. That's who they're going with.
Who would you go with? Because I think is one of the trickiest picks we've had so far.
I would either go Surtain or J.C. Horn because they have what they refer to as a Pearl Harbor defense, which means you're always getting bombed.
Yeah,
which is not a probably nice thing to say, but that's what we've been saying. We've said that in football for years.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think about the corner too much for them, to be honest. But you know, and I haven't seen a lot of Broncos. But I mean, they have so many needs that they could almost do anything there. You know, and with no corners gone, and I just spoke about it a few minutes ago. Yeah, I could. I haven't seen them, but it wouldn't surprise me if you're taking best player available. The corners are right up there.
All right. So let's get into the Dallas Cowboys. And of course, I'm wearing the vintage Eli Manning jersey. Oh, my guns look big today. Sorry. I haven't gotten the gym the last couple of days.
I'm not going to do my guns on the grounds that, you know, you'd all need to get out a microscope to find them.
I love it the last year. Someone goes, boy, you have huge forearms. I was like, well, there's too much of doing something wrong. You're not supposed to do that because you could go blind too, I hear.
I'm going to hazard a guess before you take this pick that the Cowboys will be laughing all the way to the bank with how this board is shaking out so far for them.
It's Dallas Cowboys. So let's see here. Let's scroll down here. Let's see. We're going to take the Dallas Cowboys. Let's see. We are going to take for the Dallas.
They're going to get wide receiver, surely. They always take a receiver.
We are going to take Andre Anthony, pick number 390 for the Dallas Cowboys. He's an edge. All right, but we have to be serious about the Dallas Cowboys. We have to be Cowboys.
Do you think they might go offense? Because a lot of people have said, I mean, their defense is terrible at the moment.
Now,
right?
because their defense is so bad, but they also have injuries on the offensive line. They're gaining some age on their offensive line. Yeah. So I'm going to say no on that. And I'm trying to extend this out because Industry Plug is the only person online right now watching us. So he's waiting for the Giants pick. So I'm going to try to keep it as long as possible. You know what? If I'm the Cowboys, I have to go corner. I do.
Yeah, I agree. I think they would
pick for both the Cowboys and for myself and the Cowboys, but I got to go to Patrick Surtain the second. Only because of the fact that Patrick Surtain to me is the most pro-ready cornerback. He has the football lineage. His father was his father was a very good cornerback in the league for years, all pro bowler. So you know what? You got to stop. The Cowboys, I think, are going to score some points, but if you can't stop anyone, it doesn't matter. If you're losing 42-37, you're still losing. So I have to go corner.
I agree. I think they have the potential to put up the points, and if they can stop conceding points, they're going to win more games. I agree. I think they go corner, and I think if Surtain's off the board, I think they still go corner. I think the only way they don't is if all three corners, Farley, Horn, and Surtain are off the board. But you never know with Jerry Jones. He does like a sort of the glamorous pick. But if they did that this year, I think they'd A, be crazy, and B, I just don't think they'd do it. I know people are saying they might, but I don't see it.
Which cornerback did you have them selecting?
I would have had them in this Surtain. I'm just saying I think that they will still go corner if all three of them are still there. If two of them are gone and the third one's still there, I think they could take all three of them. But Surtain is the number one corner I have on my board.
Who's the other corner? I forgot.
You got Farley and Horn.
Yeah, baby.
I just had to throw that out there. I
walked right into that, eyes open, and didn't see it coming. I'm not even going to say
that's what she said. I'm not even going to say that you walked right into that. All right, but you know, we are going to go to my favorite pick because it is the New York Football Giants. It's your favorite pick as well. So don't screw it up. You are Dave Gettleman, who potentially will screw it up. Who are you going with?
If you want me to be Dave Gettleman, then scroll down. Who's pick 390?
He's a top-rated defensive tackle. Yeah. All right, go ahead. You are the New York Football Giants.
So I think the three big needs, and I'm gonna annoy Industry Plug here and pull it out a little bit, and or I might just have a technical fault, make you have to make the pick. No, I won't do that to you because you're, as you say, doing it tomorrow. So I think the big needs for the Giants are edge rusher. I don't think we've had an edge rusher, a good one for a while. Offensive line and linebacker, but I also think you could take a wide receiver and a corner, and I wouldn't be complaining. So I think Giants can go best player available here. I would have taken Surtain if he was there, even though corner probably isn't my top area of need. But I am going to go for the linebacker, and I am going to go Micah Parsons because Waddle's off the board and Surtain's off the board. So I'm going Micah Parsons.
We're going Micah Parsons!
Hopefully that's yeah, I'm seeing Devontae Smith come out. I don't know why. I just worry about Devontae Smith for reasons I can't really explain, and for no logical reason. I just worry about Smith. But I'm going Parsons. But I would, if we're going edge, and I do think edge arguably is our biggest need, I would probably trade back to take the edge. But with Parsons there, I'm going Parsons.
I wouldn't take any edge in this draft beyond the second round. I think they have quality. I think they're more depth quality and more developmental quality out of all these players.
I wouldn't be taking an edge at 11. No way. I'd be trading back for the edge. If I wanted to go edge, I'd trade back from that, which is why I didn't take an edge. I'd be taking Micah Parsons there because I think he's probably the best player available on my board. But I can see why people call Smith. I wouldn't be complaining against that. I don't know why. I just have a worry about Smith for reasons I genuinely can't tell you in any kind of logical way. But I have Parsons going there. I don't know what you think about that sort of in the roundabout needs. I'm not going to ask you to name the player because of what we've already talked about. But
yes, well, of course, I'm doing a big reveal show on Monday at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time here in the Americas. So I'm not even going to tell you. I'm not even going to talk about the Giants because I'm going to jump right into the Philadelphia Eagles, my other favorite team. Eagles are an interesting. They traded out of the top 10. Now they want to trade back into the top 10.
Do you buy that? Do you buy them trading back into the top 10?
Yeah, the Eagles are just wacky, and they have, they have more holes than I'm not even gonna say what they got more holes than, because that's just not nice. But you know what? They have so many different needs. They have so many different problems. They just need to figure it out. And I get torn between the fact that, are they going to go defense? Are they going to go? They're going to try to find a wide receiver. I mean, where are they going to go? And if I am the Philadelphia Eagles, I am actually going to go cornerback. I am going to go with your favorite player, J.C. Horn.
That's what she said.
Why? Because outside of my buddy Patrick Surtain, I think JC is the most pro-ready corner. I think he is a highlight machine. The problem with JC is the fact that he is a little too physical. He's not handsy. If you go back to, anyone remembers the Giants player Eli Apple, I said before they even drafted him, he plays too much with his hands. He has his hands too much on the wide receiver. The problem with JC Horn is he is more physical. He has more of a physicality, and he gets a little too physical with the players. But I think that can be taught more than someone that's been playing with their hands on the receiver for years. They need to figure out a way to stop teams. Yes, I understand Jalen Hurts is a young quarterback, but they need that difference maker on the defensive side of the ball.
I agree, actually. I have wide receivers their biggest need, but I think they can take a wide receiver in round 2 and be absolutely fine. I don't think they can take the corner in round 2 to the same level as they can in round 1. So I had those as my biggest 2 needs, and with Horn on the board, yeah, I'd have taken Horn as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, and I would have looked at the wide receiver Devontae Smith, but I just think you have to. I just have a gut feeling you got to stop somebody. You got to stop it. You got to, like we've talked about it before. Defense wins. It's the old cliche. Defense wins championships, and that is still the way.
Yeah, I agree, and I think Smith. Lots of people are talking about someone is going to fall. Someone big is going to fall because of the way this all shakes out. Whether that's one of the corners, whether that's one of the tackles, whether that's Smith, I think is probably the receiver that will fall. But to your point on corner, I think absolutely right. And I like Horn. I think he probably will take some penalties in year 1. But I don't think that will be a long-term issue for him. I like him. He's got all the physical attributes. He's been groomed for playing in the NFL since before he could probably walk. I like him. I'm really high on him. I do have Surtain as my number 1 corner, but it's really close between the 2.
All right, so now you are on the clock with the Los Angeles Chargers. Oh, I still like staying in San Diego, but go ahead. Who are the Chargers going for?
Tackle.
Team.
Tackle. They got the quarterback in Herbert. I think I was wrong about Herbert. I thought he would struggle last year. He didn't. Whether he takes a slight step back in year 2, when now people got film on him, possibly. But I think he's shown in year 1 that he can be a franchise quarterback.
I love the Duck when he came out. I wanted the Giants to draft the Duck. I 2 years ago, before he decided to come back to school, I was starting to chant "suck for the Duck" because I so want the Giants to take Herbert, because I just had this feeling that he was going to be something special in the NFL. I did videos about it.
Yeah, you did, to be fair. I mean, it's one of those ones I thought the opposite. And it's a bit like Devontae Smith. I couldn't have told you why I didn't think Herbert would make it. It was just a feeling. And sometimes those feelings are right, sometimes they're wrong. And, Smith, I could be right or wrong. We'll find out because someone's taking him, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, Justin Herbert proved me wrong last year. I think he led that Chargers offense really, really well. And, I'm surprised he didn't win more games last year than they did. But, I think he's got the ability to take them far. And for me, I think they take a tackle to keep him upright.
So who are they taking?
So Vera Tucker is my number 2 tackle, funny enough, on the board. I'm a big fan of Vera Tucker. I'm not saying he's got the best skill set or the most physical, or you look at his stats and say, yeah, he's the second. It's just a player I really like. So I'm going to go with Vera Tucker for the Chargers.
Vera Tucker. All right. I'd probably go tackle. I'd probably go with the kid from VT, Virginia Tech. But neither here nor there. Now we're going to jump right in.
Darator, you mean?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I couldn't I couldn't name, and I could just looked on the screen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I could have looked on the screen as well.
Oh my God, Tim's smart.
Yeah, I mean, I've got them.
You can tell I played football a lot of times without any helmet.
I think probably on most people's board, Darrell would be above Vera Tucker. It's a personal thing for me. I just like Vera Tucker. But Darrell is probably above him a lot of people's board, and I wouldn't be sort of complaining about that. But yeah, I went Vera Tucker. Well, they certainly take a tackle.
Tucker's also a kid from UCLA? Again, USC. Here we go. I could look on the screen. Tim can read, but he's a SoCal kid, so it's a good pick. But let's roll this on a little bit faster here. Let's get into the Minnesota Vikings, and the Minnesota Vikings to me is an interesting pick. They have defensive issues across the board, but I have a feeling if this player is still on the board, they are going to jump up into the podium, and I think they're going to take Devontae Smith. I think they are still trying to replace Stephon Diggs. I know they have, Thean still over there, but I think they need a Robin to his Batman. He is I would think he would be at this point in time one of the best players on the board. Yeah, it's not a pressing need for them, but it's a need that they do have, and it will have the ability. And I get scared with Devontae Smith playing in the dome because you play 8 games with perfect weather on the turf. It's going to be a track show for him.
Yeah, I mean, what do you have as their biggest need? Because I think I would have probably Smith is easily the best player left on the board. As I say, I spoke about why I have irrational concerns about him, but so I think I'd have probably done the same. But what do you think their biggest need is? Because I have his edge,
linebacker, edge, and corner would be.
Yeah, I agree, but I think, like you say,
I've said this a million times. Bad teams reach for a position. Good teams take the best player available.
Exactly, and I think you're reaching for an edge at 14 as well. But I wouldn't shock me if they went edge because I think it's probably their biggest need.
All right, so now we're going to go with this is going to be an interesting pick. We are going to go with, because everyone thought they would be trading up the team that your friend the idiot likes, who didn't join in. I thought he was joining in.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd be here. My phone's been going off. I'm wondering if it's him saying he's not able to join or too worried about joining to hear what we have to say when we get to this pick.
A second person just jumped in. You know what? I like when there's nobody in the chats, to be honest. And people, again, on the podcast are probably bored and about here. I like when there's no one in the chats because when I do the other live stream, there's a lot of people in the chats. And I've never had an opportunity to just to chat with a couple people. And I'm chatting here with Industry Plug, and he's got some great comments. But everyone thought of course, New England Patriots would be trading up to grab a quarterback. And, well, here we are at 15, and their one prospect is on the board.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see them trade up into it, and I think they probably will, but obviously we're doing no trades here. I mean, New England, so I have them taking a tight end because they take tight. No, I don't really, but I'm just winding Chris up. They love a tight end in New England, but they obviously took 2 in free agency. You can talk about wide receiver, but again, they took 2 in free agency. I don't see them doing that, and Smith just went. I could see them taking the corner because they've got sort of aging depths in there, but they had a corner. I want to say his name's Jackson, but I may have that wrong. Apologies, Chris, if I've got that wrong. I thought I had a good year last year.
Got it wrong, all right. It's okay.
But I'm going to take Mac Jones for them at 15.
Jones.
I'd be interested to see what I'll speak to Chris afterwards and see what he would have taken. I deliberately didn't speak to him beforehand, but I'll have them taking Jones. But I think they have a few areas where they could do, but they are very aggressive in free agency. I'm not convinced they think Newton's a long-term answer, but I think they're right with him this year. And they take Mac Jones, who's a quarterback I don't overly like, if I'm honest, but I think that's what they might do.
Are you clicking a pen?
No, I'm updating my board as I go, so I don't.
Oh my God! People talk about me. That's very unprofessional.
Apologies. I can't see the screen well enough because I'm getting old and I haven't got glasses.
I love it now because the people can't see me on the podcast. I'm doing my fatherly. Are you doing something wrong? That's not professional. I'm always joking because I always get claimed that I'm not professional. Okay,
it's part of the charm.
Yeah, I'm the charm. I don't know about that.
I was reaching for something I could say positive.
Charm, asshole, whatever. It's all the same. Charming asshole. Hey, that's good. I should not be cursing. Okay. All right. Let's go with number 16, the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals are, you know what? They need a corner. They need a linebacker. They need a wide receiver. it's just one of those things that I just have a feeling that, to me, they need something. They need something that's going to help this team again, because like I said, they have a couple players on this team that are what I like to refer to as not transition. They are players that can potentially play multiple positions. And there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes you just need a guy that's at a position. You know, you got what's his name? I can't think of the kid's name off the top of my head now. The one that the Giants were supposed to pick. What's his name? Simmons. He could play linebacker. He could play safety. He could play corner. They just need something. And I kind of have a feeling that with the way they play, that they're going to need the corner. And that's a long way about going about saying that they're going to take Farley. They're going to take the kid out of VTech. Why? He's going to fill their needs. He's going to be a stationary position player, and he's going to have the ability to be either a CB1 or a CB2.
I was hoping you wouldn't take that, but yeah, I think they've got a lot of needs there. They're a really good team, but they're a team where you think, they could upgrade in quite a few areas. Again, potentially with the edge. I know they got Jones and Watt there, but they're both aging. You could talk about the O-line to give Murray more space and time. Again, corner I had as one of their top 3 needs. And with Farley there, I'd have done the same. I was hoping you wouldn't. You were going to roll the dice. I'm saying that because it's my Vegas analogy. Hello. All right. So it is going to be the Las Vegas Raiders. Who's the speediest wide receiver on the board? Because they're taking him.
No. They are not.
They're not. No, they're not. I'm taking.
They're not Al Davis anymore. And I'm going to explain Dom's bad pun because of the fact that most people don't remember that Al Davis, who was the owner back in the 60s until he died, passed away in the 90s or early 2000s. I can't remember, and I'm sorry about that. But he used to just take the fastest player on the board. That his thing with the Raiders was it's speed. But they've gotten away from that. So you are.
Yeah, no. I just love your Al Davis story, so I set up for it. They need one of the
podcast. You can't see me. I'm rubbing my chin, looking. Oh yes, I am very intelligent. But you are the Las Vegas Raiders. Who are you going with?
I think they need something in both their lines. Need upgrades. I have the offensive lineman Darisaw ahead of any defensive tackle at this point. I just think they need some hogs, so I'm taking Darisaw.
All right, and I probably would go with that too. Now, this is going to be an interesting pick. This is the Miami Dolphins, and to me, the Miami Dolphins, we've selected their wide receiver. We need to fill positions. To me, their biggest positions are, of course, going to be on the defensive side of the ball. I know there are players that are interested in. They need an edge. They need an edge, and they are going to have the ability to select. This is where I think one of the first edges are going to be the reach. This is where I think they're going to go. And honestly, I am going to shock the world. I'm going with my favorite player in the draft, Gregory Rousseau, Mr. 305. Yes, I know people are going to say that the kid out of Michigan is a better player, that Phillips had a better pro day. But like I've said a million times, you don't play the game running in shorts. To me, and I've spoken to a person that used to be a former scout and lives in the Miami area. He tells me that Gregory Rousseau is the complete package. He is not going to fall as people think. He is a Miami guy, and so is Phillips, but Phillips has a large history of injuries. They were saying Phillips could be a concussion away from having to retire. I think with the potential, I think with his ability, it is going to be Gregory Rousseau. I call him Mr. 305. Because that's the area code in Miami. If people overseas that do not know that, I think this is going to be the shock pick. I think this is going to be what some are going to recall the reach pick. But I just see him being Jason Pierre-Paul 2.0.
I mean, I agree. We spoke earlier about what Giants might do at 11 in earlier podcasts, or maybe when I join one of your live streams. I like Rousseau as well. I think he has all the physical attributes. I think with the Dolphins, with 2 first-round picks, they can afford for him to not really work out in year 1 anyway, and be in year 2. I think he will be an all-pro, or certainly at least, Pro Bowl for what it's worth. He's going to be a really good edge. I think they can take the reach with the second pick. I like Rousseau. I think probably Phillips is the number 1 edge, but as you say, with those injury concerns, he falls right down. He is a concussion. They even said it when he transferred over to Miami. He is a concussion away from being retired. Exactly, and therefore I can't be taking him high, which is why he falls right down my board, because you don't want to risk that. He may never ever take a snap for you if he gets a concussion in training camp. So you can't take him. So I think that's a really good shout.
His head on the kitchen sink, he may not take it. He may not take a snap.
I could see them potentially, going for, or if they get the tackle with their first pick, I could see them going for a wide receiver potentially there. But obviously they did get in our version the wide receiver, so I think you're absolutely right on an edge.
All right. Now we got to keep rolling along here, dude. Let's jump into number 19, the Washington Red Hogs.
Yeah, the Washington First Capital Football Team will be taking. We didn't even talk about this, and we both went to the same place. Look, people are talking about them as another trade in for a quarterback. With the quarterbacks gone, I'm not doing so. I think they did wide receiver in free agency. I think they picked a corner. I think it's a really difficult one for them here. I don't think they need anything on defense. I'm just looking at my board because you took the person I was going to a couple of picks back. So I'm going to have them taking a tackle again. I'm going to have them taking Jenkins.
Jenkins. Are you just reading the top of the board?
No, I'm not actually. I have you here, for those that can't see, directly in front of me. I have your screen, which is really small on my screen, and on my second screen, I have my own sort of rankings list where I'm just colouring them red, so I know I can't pick them because that means they've gone. So yeah, I haven't taken Jenkins.
Oh, so now I've taken Dom off the screen. This is so much better. I think everyone
it's better for everyone watching as well.
Wants to see this anyways. For those that can't see on the podcast, I took Dom completely off the screen. All right, we're gonna jump in the Chicago Bears.
My brother can start paying attention here because he's a Bears fan.
We're gonna run on through we're gonna run up to the 25th pick because this is taking a little bit longer. And like I said, we don't like to go too long on the podcast.
That's what she said.
So let's see. Chicago Bears. This is an interesting pick because if there was a trade down candidate, I would think it's the Bears. Only because of the fact that they need a quarterback. They're not going to get a quarterback. They need an offensive tackle. They're not getting an offensive tackle. They need a wide receiver. Unless you're going Bateman, which to me is a reach, you're not taking him at 20. They need a corner. To me, the best two corners are off the board. So, it's one of those things that multitudes of their picks are gone, who they potentially would go after.
Yeah, I don't see them picking at 20. They're either trading up or trading down. I don't see them picking at 20. I think you're exactly right.
I don't see them picking at 20. And honestly, like I said, it's just, if you look at the board, if you're going for quality of picks, I'm not seeing the guys that they would go after. I know Barmore is still available, but I'm not a big fan of his. You got the kid out of Michigan, the kid out of Georgia. To me, I would have to trade back.
Yeah.
If I was the Bears, but
if you haven't traded up, you trade back. I think you're spot on.
But if I have to stay here at this point, I think this is another team that's going to take a reach because they are going to need position players, and I think they're going to go Alex Leatherwood. Alex Leatherwood, of course, is the big offensive tackle out of Alabama. Did a whole big video about him. Again, to me, he is a pro-ready player. He is a plug-and-play. The Bears need help desperately on that offensive line. I think some of the issues Mitchell Trubisky had and the other quarterbacks had on the team was the fact that you can't protect him. I think Leatherwood you can plug in. I think to me, in my mind, he is a better prospect than Slater. I think he was the Outland Trophy winner for the top offensive lineman last year. He was all conference. He was all everything. There's just some questions personally about him. There's some questions about his size, but I think he would fit the system. I would think he would fit the system better for the Bears. And like I said, if I was the Bears, I would trade back into the low 20s and then I would take Leatherwood. But I think if you have to pick a position of need, offensive tackle to them outside a corner is their biggest need.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if Leatherwood doesn't work out at tackle, I think he'll be fine on the inside. It's easier said than done transferring in, but I think he can. Yep. So I think you're right. And I think they do that. I don't think the quality's there for them, but they don't take it at 20. I think you're exactly right. So the Colts are next up.
Colts.
Look, I don't think they're a team that's far off, actually. I think they have the potential to go deep into the playoffs, potentially this season. I'm looking at the board. I think they take best player available, and I think they take the edge pay.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his, and I've said this a million times. I think he is one of my Leonard Williams of the New York Giants is the guy I call
King of the almost sack.
He's a disruptor. To me, he's not a guy that goes after the quarterback.
He's a scheme blitzer, right?
He disrupts the play, and he's not best way I've said it before. He's not, in my book, he is not a finisher. Leonard Williams had 11.5 sacks last year because of the fact a lot of those were coverage sacks, and someone has to get a sack at that point in time, which is nothing wrong with that. But before his big year and the other 5 years, his biggest sack total was 5.5. Yeah. But he disrupts the line play. And I think that's what this kid is.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, the best player I have left on my board is Kurumura, but I just think they will try and go for the edge, and I think they will. Phillips is a concern. I think they'll take pay because Rousseau's off the board in our version anyway.
All right. Yeah, right. Now we're going to go into the Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans are another team that they lost their starting wide receiver. They didn't lose him. They let him go to free agency. They need a corner. This is another team that's a trade candidate. Now I'm going to go with Bateman out of Minnesota. I think Bateman, this is a good spot for Bateman. A lot of people had him lower in the draft in the beginning of the draft process. He's been coming up the board. He actually at his pro day, he was measured smaller than they said in college, and that's all. And for the UK people, that means nothing. In college, you're always 3 inches taller and 20 pounds heavier. That's just the way they measure. So,
can I go to American college?
Yeah,
because I could do it being 3 inches taller.
You'd be 4'11".
Yeah,
that'd be great. No, Dom is not that small. He's at least
4'12".
4'11 and a half. But yeah, I think he's a good value pick at that spot, and he is a need pick, and I don't think he would be a reach. All right, so let's get into your favorite team and my favorite team. We're going to stop at the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's go into the 23rd pick of the New York Jets. New York Jets, a train wreck of a franchise right now. They took Trevor Lawrence. Everything's looking fine and dandy. They need a corner. They need an edge desperately. They even potentially need a running back. Who are we going?
Yeah, so I have them taking. I think you're right on the edge. I think they need a corner, and I think they need a running back. I wouldn't be surprised if they took wide receiver, but we're starting to really, really reach. I think they'll take a risk on Phillips.
You're going to take Phillips?
Yeah, I think they will, but I wouldn't be shocked if they went with someone else there. He's not the best player I have left, but the Jets don't tend to do that way. I was considering Harris at running back, but I am going to take Phillips. I think it's kind of a Jets move.
I think that is kind of a Jets move, and I could see them going with Phillips. To me, the edge is not one of their biggest needs, but I could see them looking at best talent available and taking Phillips.
I mean, I'm also making the assumption there that on Salah bringing stuff across from the 49ers as well, which is where I think they might go with the edge and for the scheme fit that Salah's wanting to run. But we are guessing, obviously, because we don't know exactly what he's going to do as a head coach. But
exactly. Now, we're up here with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 24th overall pick. To me, the Steelers, their biggest need, and it's on the board as well, is going to be cornerback. They need that an offensive line, because they let Alejandro Villanueva go.
He's still on the free agent market at the moment, though, so he might come back. You never know.
He might come back, but I think if Pittsburgh wanted him, they would have brought him back already.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
My thing is they have Big Ben, and I'm not talking the clock. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, which don't visit at the moment because it's covered in scaffolding.
It is. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, still covered in. Last time I saw it anyway, which was admittedly a year ago because of the virus, but yeah, it's covered in scaffolding at the moment. But repairs are necessary, and hopefully it'll be fixed soon.
All right, Pittsburgh, win now mode. Ben has maybe got 1 to 2 seasons left. They need defensive help at the cornerback positions, but they need a running back. This is where I think Harris is coming off the board.
I agree.
It just, to me, it's a sense pick. It's a pick which will allow them to help Ben because he can also potentially be a check down for him because Ben is not as young as springtime. But I think I think Harris at Alabama would be the best fit. Now we're going to jump into your favorite team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So who is Mr. Khan? And I'm not talking from Star Trek. You ever seen the Wrath of Khan?
If that's one of the latest films they did with Chris Pine, then yes. But
no,
Wrath of Khan
was with William Shatner, and
then no. You can tell I'm a big Star Trek fan.
I hate Star. I don't watch Star Trek. I've never seen.
No, likewise.
I've never seen the movies. I've never seen the TV shows, but I did see the Wrath of Khan because Ricardo Montalban is in it, and
it sounds an exciting title.
It was actually not knowing the Star Trek like lineage and stuff. It's actually a really good movie. And there's just a scene where Khan traps the crew of the Enterprise in the ship, and he takes the Enterprise and goes, and Kirk is on the walkie-talkie or whatever the hell they're called. And at one point in time, he screams, Khan! And that just reminds me of every time I hear the word Khan. I'm sorry, I digress. Again, I went off on a tangent, but go ahead. You are the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I shall be quick. I think they take the safety, and I think they take Morig, or however you say the out of TCU. Who I can't pronounce his name. Trevon Morig.
I don't never know if that's who that
no
is.
idea how to pronounce his name, which is going to come out brilliantly for those who are listening on the podcast. But that's who they take
because they can't see anything. And you know what? We're going to end it right here at pick number 25 because who cares after the top 10? To be perfectly honest.
Giants fans at 11, presumably.
Well, that's true. But I'm saying just normal fans in general. I mean, who cares about after the top 10? But because, I find this to be an interesting draft. I do not think this is one of the deeper drafts that the NFL has had. I think there are going to be a lot of swing and miss picks. I think that it just makes sense that, some people are going to reach for talent. And like I said, I just don't see this being I honestly don't see this being an exciting draft once all the quarterbacks are off the board. To be perfectly honest, that's just my opinion because, like I said, I think a lot of this is developmental talent or position players who may have to play out of position in the NFL, like the offensive line.
Agree, and I think it's made even harder for teams this year with the lack of with the amount of people that opted out last year and the lack of games at college. I think that will make it hard, and they haven't had the usual sort of postseason sort of pre-draft evaluation process. So I think it will be a really interesting draft, but I don't think it will be the best draft class we've ever had.
Yeah, I don't see it, but like I said, we ran a little long today because we like to try to keep this under an hour. I am going to, of course, as I always do, give Dom the last word, the last thought. Anything on your mind about the draft, about football? Just how, again, we've said it many times how wonderful I am. It's all good. Whatever you want. The last 60 seconds are all yours.
So, I mean, I don't have a lot to say on the issue because it bemuses me more than anything else. But there's been a lot of talk this week about the new numbering system. And generally speaking, I'm a bit of a traditionalist when it comes to sports. I think you have to work a bit hard to convince me that the new revolution is needed. But to be honest with you, from the outside perspective looking in, I don't really care less what number the player wears. I'm more interested in what they do on the pitch, but there seems to have been a lot of sort of hoo-ha over the numbers this year, which does bemuse me. I mean, I've not used a full 60 seconds, so grateful for your 20-second take, but I don't care on the numbers.
So a lot of people in the UK and maybe some people in the States probably don't know, there is in the NFL, there is your number is usually dictated off your position. Like a quarterback would go from numbers 0 to 19. Running backs have to pick a number between 20 and I think 49. In college, you can pick any number you want. It doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter to me. I don't care. Honestly, I watch the players. I don't watch the numbers of the players. So I don't care if a guy's whatever numbers they want to wear. I don't don't care. Doesn't matter.
And, yeah, and ideally you don't want to hear your guy's number called because it means you've almost certainly done something wrong.
Exactly. That would probably be the best way to put it. And on that note,
She said.
oh, I was going to say, no, that's not what I wanted to do.
That's not the right button. It's your favorite button, but it's not the right one.
We are not pushing the right button today. But on that being said, this is Tim and Doug from NFL Talk from across the pond and back. I want to thank everyone for joining. I want to thank everyone for watching. All 2 people. We're going to be doing this again next week after the draft, and I hope everyone enjoyed. And thanks for watching.
See you all on Thursday.
And we're clear. Let's click out of that. And we're clear. And let's click out of this. Shop sharing. Oh, we got to end the broadcast though. All right, we're ending the broadcast. Well, nobody's watching.
They can see how professional we are at the end.